Today's episode is sponsored by Godly Glow Skincare, where we believe it's more than just skin. Your glow starts from within. Are you someone who battles with hyperpigmentation, dark spots, or really dry skin? If so, our products will be perfect for you. For more information, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Godly Glow CO.
Welcome back to OE Talks. My name is Deena Taylor, and I'm your host. And today we're going to be talking about needing a break from church.
Jesus.
Mama.
Gotta have it.
It's going to be a great episode, y'all. Before we get started, let's go ahead and introduce our lovely panelists.
I'm Charon.
I'm Deene.
I'm Tanee Monique.
I'm Pastor P.
Pastor.
Pastor over here. This episode is
We
for
leaning
you.
on you over
yes,
here.
yes.
Turn to your neighbor.
So, exactly, right? All eyes on Pastor P. So, do you feel like taking a break from church is necessary?
Yes.
Short answer.
I mean, yeah, I think that you do need to take a break, but I don't know if I want to say take a break, but maybe you should plan to make sure that your plate is not overloaded. For instance, with me pastoring, working a full-time job, and being a business owner, every 2 months I take a vacation from work. And so that's how I stay, sane. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where mental health is a big thing, and even in pastors, really we should take the lead with taking breaks because we struggle with mental health on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So it's important that we lead by example, but absolutely, consider taking a break when you need to.
Mm-hmm. A lot of pastors do it, right? Mm-hmm. The pastors that are constantly, every single Sunday preaching, they're bringing a word, but they need a break. Mm-hmm. It's okay to rest.
Yeah.
Got to make sure you fill yourself back up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's so important. It's so important. And rest is so important. Rest is a gift. Yeah. But a lot of people are, always on go, or they feel like if I'm not there, everything gonna crumble. But when you rest, you're showing God that you trust Him to do what you can't do while you're resting.
That's good.
But say God rested on the seventh day.
And did.
You rested too. As far as from church, I want to again say, church in this sense is the four walls. I'm assuming, correct? Mm-hmm. I would say a break is needed. I know some people who left the church and didn't come back to a physical building, but they still live a godly life. They still believe. They still pray. They still, act as if they love God. And I don't think a church is a necessity. I think it's a good thing, but I don't think it's something we have to have. It's something we have to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with the fact that I don't believe that you have to go to church every week, like the building. I believe that it's important to be amongst other believers in a setting, to ignite what's on the inside of you, kind of like when you go to the gym and you work out. You go to the gym to work out so you can be motivated so that you're more likely to finish through. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe it's an obligation where it's like, oh, if I'm not here on Sunday, they're looking for me or something's wrong. No, like as long as your relationship with the Lord is good, I don't think that you have to go to church every single week.
Have you ever felt guilty, or do you know anyone who's felt guilty from needing to take a break from going to church? Absolutely,
because from my experience, sometimes people have made me feel bad for taking breaks or not being there. Like, where you been? Like, assuming that just because I'm not in the building, that I'm just out here. Or just because I'm not in the building, I'm disconnected from God. And I learned during the pandemic how I don't need to do that. Like, I feel like you should have a place where you're planted, where you're being fed from, right? Mm-hmm. But if you miss a couple weeks or, you have other things going on too, then there's nothing wrong with that, because I think I said this in maybe another episode. We are the church, right? So what's on the inside of me is not supposed to stay in the walls of the church. I'm supposed to take it outside. So if you don't see me on Sunday, but I'm out here, because I can do ministry everywhere. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think to your point though, you said what's on the inside of me. Now, here's the other side to that. People who shouldn't take a break from church are the people who don't have that relationship and that strong
Yes.
faith life where if you're not present, you start sinning.
Yes.
If you don't have accountability and you don't have worship in a community setting, then no, you don't need to miss church. You need to be there before the church opens.
Yes.
But
That's
you
good.
know,
That's
a lot
good.
of people
Yeah.
depend on the church to do what they depend on Sunday to make up for what you should have did Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's reading your word. It's
about
it's
it.
getting into worship, having a relationship, talking to the Lord, all of those things. And that is why you go to church, is to be amongst other people who do the same thing.
Yeah.
But your view and your perspective of church will cause you to overload your brain and either make you run away from church, think you need to take a break when actually you might need to go deeper. So, having the right perspective around what the physical building was created for will help you to better discern when you need to take a break. If you're in leadership or you're serving, you know behind the scenes that a 1 hour, 2 hour service has multiple hours of preparation
Yes.
before you go live. So, there are factors and reasons as to why the daily things associated with church attendance may require a break.
That's good.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like how you worded that.
I like that a lot. I
Yeah.
like that perspective.
Appreciate it.
Pastor,
We gonna keep you around,
Pastor P.
Pastor P. So why do you feel like church people try to make you feel bad? Do you feel like for not going to church? Do you feel like it's a projection? Like,
It's lack of knowledge.
yeah.
It's ignorance. And I say that boldly because a lot of times the church culture creates that mindset, like what you were saying, if you're not present, then you're sinning or you're a backslider. And, if your dependence on your relationship with Christ requires that you have somebody else lead you in prayer, then absolutely, when you see someone who doesn't show up at church, you'll try to make them feel bad. But, the Bible says that every man must work out his own soul salvation. And when you get to heaven, you have to give an account to God for what you did.
Yeah.
And so if enough church people stop focusing on what everybody else is doing,
Trying
and
to
they
be
play,
God.
right, and they play their part in the collective moment when we're all together, we'd even have better services. But that's another service.
Come on, somebody.
And that's
that
that
goes
pastor,
into the
right?
point where everybody's relationship, not even relationship with God, but your relationship with church, how you ended up going, your upbringing.
Yep.
Like I grew up in the church. I have a relationship. I have a foundation with God.
That-
So I know
that
I don't
part.
have to go in there every day to
Yeah.
sustain that.
Right.
That's what I believe. That's what I believe the church is for. Like to help you build that, the building, to help you build that foundation with God. Like that's one of the things that the church I used to go to helped me do. Like solidify, go from religion to relationship.
It's huge.
And how I grew up, I didn't know what a relationship was with God. It was just this what we do on Sunday, Monday through Friday, we doing whatever. But on Sunday, we gonna be in this church for about 3 hours all afternoon. And so when I came to my old church, I learned about the importance of a relationship with God and with Jesus.
Huge.
And that shifted everything for me.
It's important.
So what does taking a break look like? If you're wondering, or asking yourself or telling yourself that you need to take a break from church, maybe you're in leadership or maybe you just are a regular church goer and you feel like I need a break. What should that look like?
For me, it's going to somebody else's church. I'm not on program. I don't have to lead worship. I don't have to greet the people. I don't have to pour out. I can go in and just be a church goer. And for me, that is a break.
Yeah, or just sit down. Have plenty of seats.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're so busy serving that
Yeah.
you forget what true worship is. Like
Yeah.
I'm a worship leader, and it's easy to just get through each set. Just let me get to the next song. Let me get to this next song. Let me get to the end. Let's make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to. But you need somebody to pour back into you. So sometimes it's okay to just not serve and be served,
Yes.
and to just sit and get the word.
I hear that.
That's really important because you can get burnt out.
Yeah.
Quickly.
So I feel like I have experienced the burnout from my early years because I'm the person that's not the average church goer. But when refreshed. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
received something that was meant for me.
Yeah.
And I leave, like I said, feeling rejuvenated.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just different. Just different perspectives. Like everybody, a break for somebody might be only watching online. A break from somebody might be, look, I'm gonna leave that there for a while. If I decide to go back, I will. And a break might be, I don't have a church home right now.
Yeah, I would say for me, recently I had a burnout with a church. We're newer. We've been maybe like 6-7 months. But like you were saying with serving, like because we are new, there is not a lot of people, there's not a lot of hands, so the same people serving, the same people doing it. Not that they're making us do that, but because we want to help, we want the church to be better. I found myself burnt out. And so the break for me looked like I didn't go for a while. Like I think I took like a month off of going in the building, just because even when I come and just attend on Sunday, because people are used to me serving, they still asking me for this, doing that, and I don't want to do that. So I would just watch from online, and just be poured back into. So watch online, go to a retreat, go to my mentors. That's what rest looks like for me. But me and God are still having our daily devotions and time together, but I'm just not in the building. And it helped me because it was getting to the point where it was like, I'm liable to spaz on somebody in this church.
That's
and
real.
I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
But knowing yourself and knowing like, all right, I don't have any more capacity to take on anything else, and being able to take a step back and being okay with it. And even when I took my break, I felt bad. Like at first, felt like I was letting people down or looking for me. And it's like, no, because you have to make sure you're good. If you're not at your best, like you can't be pouring from an empty cup.
That's good.
So
Have any of you guys ever taken a break due to church hurt?
Explain church hurt.
Like someone in leadership saying something to you, doing something that offended you deeply.
I feel like, not me specifically, but I feel like I was attending a church with a friend, and I was going regularly in college, and something happened at the church. Like a pastor got in trouble with somebody else that was on staff at the church.
Typical.
And I felt like it was like, dang, I came here to. It's not that I'm expecting them to be perfect, but it was just something
Integrity.
so obviously like wrong, and I was like, I can't believe that I'm coming here to get word from y'all, and y'all up here acting like this. So I didn't go to that church anymore. I just stopped going.
But there's church hurt and then there's people hurt. Like people get the two confused because you're putting your trust in a person, and like you said, you're not perfect. You're gonna mess
on this
up.
pedestal expectation.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So people mistake like church hurt, something that may have happened at the church, or like you were saying, you're burnt out and somebody's asking you a question and you spaz out on them, and it's their first time at your church. So now they're like, I ain't going back.
Correct.
And they say that's church hurt, but no, that's a person hurt. Somebody hurt you.
Yes.
So so that's big. It's good to know the difference between the two as well.
And oftentimes with that, I find that like as a Christian, as a believer, like people expect, I'll just say for myself, like I've been so hard on myself where I expect like I have to be perfect all the time. Well, at the end of the day, we are flesh. Like we are human beings. So even if I'm filled with the Holy Ghost, every day I start my day with God, it's still going to be times that I'm challenged and I may not handle it well. I may not respond well all the time. And I feel like we need to give more people room and opportunities to grow and become, versus just throwing them away because they do something that hurts us or offends us. I'm not justifying it, but allowing people to grow through their process.
Well, that's the thing. Most people don't look at everybody from the pulpit to the door as going through their process. We're all going through a process. We're all being healed from something. Just because I'm a pastor doesn't mean I don't struggle with sin.
Right.
Just because I'm a pastor doesn't mean that I don't be wanting to speak in other tongues and say 4-letter words. Like I'm a human, right? And so, what happens is you as a churchgoer get the opportunity to see me go through my process out loud in living color. And we don't do enough of giving grace and honoring the fact that people have to go through their process. When you were going through your process, you didn't want the whole world to know. Right. You didn't want nobody to cast you out. So why would you do that to someone else who's going through theirs? Right. Like, give what you want to receive. And church doesn't preach that message enough.
I was gonna say.
But it's a real thing. Like, the church is a safe place. It was designed to be a safe place for people who are weak to get strength and to grow. And when we take that out of the equation of the building, then you need to reevaluate your foundation.
Yes.
That's
It's
good.
wrong.
And another former church hurt. Like, I have a very close friend who will remain nameless, but they fell out with church because growing up, the word was weaponized in their house. Like, kind of like how we talked about a man trying to talk to y'all saying, "Oh, God told me you was my wife." That same thing, but with parents to their children. And she grew up like resenting it almost, and it didn't hurt her relationship with God, but as far as the church goes and things of that nature, like, she distanced herself from it. But she still prays, she still believes in God, and she still communicates and spends time with people who do.
Yeah.
So yeah, church hurt is levels.
Somebody
real.
took that safe space away from her.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to whoever's watching, from any pastor, any person in leadership that removed the feeling of this being a safe place in the church. I pray that God heals your heart. I pray that you find a place and that the Lord sends you to a place where you can be healed and you can find a place of strength and refuge. That is not the heart of God.
Amen.
Amen.